Oh, wait. No sound effect needed. That's right. We have a Benchmade auto knife in the house. Stay tuned, guys. I'll tell you all about it. Hi, gang. Rob here. It is the evening of January 2014. Got a little from the Sharpening Bench video for you all tonight. Tonight's video production brought to you by my YouTube viewer and sharpening customer Brandon from Georgia. He sends in tonight's subject. This one needed a visit pretty badly. And what he sent was a Benchmade 3550 Pardue Auto knife. And what a battle-worn, well-used little beauty this is. A little bit about the knife as we're taking a quick look at it. It is, of course, an Oregon City, Oregon produced Benchmade knife designed by Mel Pardue, a rather prolific designer for Benchmade. He's responsible for such Hall of Fame knives as the Griptilian series. Also, one of my favorite older Benchmades during the years that they had knives produced in Taiwan, the Benchmade Ambush was a Mel Pardue design. Several others over the years. And a lot of auto knives for Benchmade. This particular knife, and one thing about Mel Pardue, he's sort of a knife historian, or sort of a historical knife aficionado, and some of his designs pay homage to classic blade types of the past and even the present. This little auto knife, of course, although it is a folding knife and it's only sharp on one edge, it's definitely paying homage to the dagger, isn't it? With its nearly perfectly symmetrical spear point blade, the top edge not sharpened, and we do also have just a little flat here on the spine near the base. The handle is a perfectly symmetrical sort of Coke bottle shape. And if this were a double-edged dagger, it would fit either hand the same way, no matter which way it was oriented. You can, in a classic dagger, it's always moving, it's changing in its grip in the hand, even switching hands during a knife fight that it might be employed in. So that symmetry and that shape was super important in the dagger type. And this is pretty standard Benchmade side opening auto construction. Let's go over some specs and dimensions real quickly before I go into the story of this knife before the sharpening bench. What we've got on that gorgeous spear point blade is a blade of 2.98 inches, so just about 3 inches, 154 cm steel, 90 thousandths thick, folding into a handle that is 4.1 inches long, so pretty good blade to handle ratio. The overall or open length 7.1 inches. The handle is probably 6000 series, definitely T6 aluminum. The blade has BK1 coating, which it's not DLC. It does wear, but it wears rather evenly, and it shows its age with grace and scars, I would say. The handle is hard black anodized, and I'm I want to get this sort of out of the way up front. I did an interview a few months ago on a full-size Benchmade infidel that had a life a lot like this one, and I got rained on with comments from 13-year-olds in their mom's basements in their pajamas watching my video, telling me it was a Chinese fake and hard anodized coating doesn't ever wear or flake or or come off, and they question my ability to identify a Benchmade by steel properties and by how the finish wears. And let's not do that tonight, can we please? I'm 100% certain, having completely disassembled this knife and put it back together, that it is a Benchmade, and this is, guys, how hard anodized coating wears when it is used hard on aluminum. So have no doubt, not a Chinese copy. This is a real 3550 Pardue. As you can see, this is the SBK version, meaning serrated black coated. So for what, about 30%, about a third of the blade length, we've got Benchmade's normal serrations. The knife is very, very svelte, weighs in at 2.8 ounces. And just to give you a size comparison, let me reach over here. Here's something that's becoming sort of a familiar knife, the Ontario Rat 2. And boy, if we lay those down next to each other, they are nearly identical in size, handle length and blade length. So, and actually the weight is also a little bit of a difference in thickness. Of course, an aluminum handled auto knife is generally going to be a little on the thick side, but boy, I'll tell you what, not much. There's less than about a 1/16 of an inch difference in thickness between those two knives. So really, what a sweet little backup, defensive backup or EDC blade this is. I got to tell you guys, well, first let me tell you what condition it came to me in, and it was interesting. Brandon had contacted me and told me he wanted to send it, and asked if I could maybe help out with not only sharpening but straightening his clip. The pocket clip on this knife was lifted off the handle almost a 1/4 inch. I don't know what he snagged it on, but it was bent. I mean, it was bent bad. But you know, you guys have heard me complain about the clunky painted Emerson style Benchmade clip, because I don't think it's the most attractive thing in the world, especially as it wears. But I got to tell you, it had a pretty good tweak in it, and I put it in the vise and grabbed hold of the other end with a pair of pliers, and it had a pretty severe bend in it, and it straightened extremely well. In fact, it may have better retention than it had when it was new. No visible signs of distortion either. So that's great, and I was expecting the clip. I saw it when I first took the knife out of the box, but then I fired the mechanism. So I hit the button, and out comes the knife, only it stopped about here. It kind of went, and then I had to help it the rest of the way up, and it was bad. That's sort of a testimony to the mechanism on these Benchmade side folding autos, though. It's just a coil spring. It only has about a half a turn or a half a coil of travel from its loaded position to when it stops, and you can see it sort of stops about there. It uses sort of brute force from its closed position and momentum to come to the open position, which makes it actually kind of an easy auto to handle because it's actually one-hand closable, which many autos are not. It's almost got the spring travel of an assisted opener, but it's a full auto knife. So I had to really totally take this knife apart, clean every component, and I lubricated it. And I'd never had one of these apart before, and I found something kind of interesting inside. It has no phosphor bronze washers. The aluminum handle slabs have sort of a washer machined in them. So there's a raised portion of the aluminum that contacts the blade. I don't know if you'll be able to kind of see that as you look through it. So it's not having to make frictional contact for the full section of the blade tang. It's riding on machined in washers in the aluminum. So when I put it back together, I used sort of a lube cocktail. I used some fluorinated grease on those bearing surfaces, and then when I put it back together, I gave it a little extra help with some Daiwa Real Oil. And what we got when we're all done is a pretty quick action and absolutely zero side-to-side play, and there is zero up and down play. Testimony to the quality of a Benchmade. This knife obviously has not had an easy life. It is basically beat up on every corner. Not a safe queen and not one that rode in the pants its whole life. This knife has been used, tossed around, probably pried with, who knows. And it has taken a licking, and with a little bit of light service, it is mechanically in like new condition. And it's a pretty light knife to take all that punishment. That, guys, is why we buy Benchmades. Oh, by the way, the edge. The plain edge section of this blade sort of looked like the serrated section of this blade when we got it. It was chipped, it was rolled, it was dull, it was horrendous. But let's just take a look at it now. Take a look at that now. We've got a 17 degree per side secondary bevel with a nice skinny little 20 degree micro. Didn't really want to lay it back much further than that because this blade is pretty darn thin behind the edge. Didn't see any reason to make it overly thin. And I think it's a pretty good cutter. Let's check it out. Brandon, you might want to show your friends this, because after you get done beating this knife up again, you can tell them how sharp it used to be. Let's see. Try a little bit of Natchez Shooter's Supply catalog paper. I think that dog will hunt. Yep. It's such a tiny run of plain edge. There we go. Get that out of there for now. So it is sharp, it is mechanically sound, and it's ready for a couple more years of rough service. Man, I love the way that 154 cm sharpens up. Doesn't kill you to remove material, and boy, the reward is just so awesome. Guys, it's hard to explain how sharp this really is. But it came out really well. Does have the locking mechanism on the spine, so the blade can't be, the button will not operate, so the blade won't close inadvertently, and then if it's closed and the lock is deployed, knife cannot be opened. As discussed on other YouTube channels, the lock is probably a bit unnecessary, especially on this knife, because Don't know if you can really pick this up from watching or not, but you've got to really have your thumb centered in the depression that surrounds that button, and it's got to be depressed almost flush with the bottom of that relief before that blade will fire. Clip orientation, not my favorite. I'm a lefty, and this one is tip down right hand only. However, it's kind of too bad they don't give us maybe a left hand tip up option for that clip, because the knife operates very well with the left index finger. No trouble at all deploying it. I wouldn't mind carrying that in my left pocket if the clip configuration permitted it. Had a Kershaw breakout a couple years ago, and it was very similarly configured, but it did give us that left-hand tip up option, and I carried it that way a lot. Kind of wish this one would do that. Maybe I'd get one. Pretty cool little blade, huh? Just thought you guys would like to see that. So let me shut up and we'll just give you some up close, slow pan. Take it in. Very, very cool. So grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and Brandon's Benchmade are sharp. Have a good night, guys.